ladies and gentlemen, at the World CX Summit, we're right now talking about the new digitally conscious customer. Several changes are pushing this CX to the forefront, from digital native organizations disrupting traditional industries to evolving customer expectations. Today, the consumers expect highly intuitive, personalized experiences and interactions instead of being treated like an unknown person. To get the CX right, companies must digitally transform and connect the entire customer journey from sales to marketing, customer service, and beyond. This requires an innovative mindset enabled by company culture plus a strong connection from the strategy through design, data science, and technology implementation. Well, right now at the CX transformation discussion in the next 45 minutes, you will be talking on the topic becoming future ready with a CX-led digital transformation, wherein an agile, flexible IT environment, personalized customer experiences, a seamless omni-channel experience leveraging VOC initiatives to build brand loyalty, overcoming challenges in CX transformation, and success stories, followed by a Q&A if time allows. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to interact with us via our poll. Now it is time, as I'm going to be sharing my screen, for you to join us and be a part of our poll. As you can see, this is going to be our first poll, wherein we're going to be having our discussion coming forth. So just allow me a moment. I'll just stop the screen share and get the right poll on the screen. So this is our first panel discussion, and for the first panel discussion, we've got one question coming in for you. And here we go, right here. Perfect. So as you can see on the stage and screen, let me present it in the full screen mode. So ladies and gentlemen, what you got to do is just go to www.menti.com right now, and you got to use the code 2104-6461. So once you've used the code www.menti.com and you use the code 2104-6461, once you've done that, I'm going to give you a few seconds on that. Well, the poll question is, the decision to initiate digital transformation in your organization is to. So your options are 0, reduce cost. Then you've got leverage VOC to transform CX, stay relevant, driven by competition, or other reason. Now, these being your 4 options: reduce cost, leverage VOC to transform CX, stay relevant, driven by competition, and the 4th one being other reason. I'd request everyone to please participate in this poll. And as you can see that there's one person who's voted for leveraging VOX to transform CX. So I'd request all of you to choose your option, and the live results will be shown to us right now. All you got to do is go to www.menti.com and you got to use the code 2104-6461. So I'm requesting more and more people to join us. As you can see, there are many of you interacting with us. There are 4 who've already participated in the poll. I'll give you another 60 seconds, and then we're going to be starting with our panel intro and getting the panel on. So let's keep it rolling. We've got another one, and just the next 30 seconds left. You got to just choose your option and participate in the poll. World CX Summit, everyone. This is happening right here, and I'd request you all once again, www.menti.com, and you use the code 2104-6461. And all you have to do is choose your option, reduce cost, leverage VOC to transform CX, stay relevant, driven by competition, or the 4th one being the other reason. All right, so I can see many more people participating. That's great in the poll. And as you can see, leverage VOC to transform CX is doing great. So I'm going to let you participate it more and more. But whilst you are participating still in the poll is active right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to be going down to our introductions of the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very elated that we are joined by our panelists, key panelists. First up, KB Nagaraju, Chief Customer Experience Officer, Bigbasket. Well, Mr. Nagaraju has over 38 years of rich experience in high-tech, automotive, logistics, and e-commerce sectors. Currently, he works as the Chief Customer Experience Officer for the Bigbasket, wherein he takes care for the delivery operations and customer service. We're also joined by Dharmender, Khanna, the head of digital transformation, SSIPL Retail Limited. A dynamic go-getter, a retail and an e-commerce professional with 2 decades of experience, who is credited with accolades such as the most influential e-commerce professional 2019. Currently, he's somebody who's heading the brand management and digital initiatives at SSIPL Retail Limited. We're also joined by Vaishali Thakkar, the Chief Customer Service and Service Delivery, Praxis Home Retail Limited Future Group. Vaishali brings with her 19 years of customer service and service delivery experience across retail, telecom, and the e-commerce industries. She's somebody who's headed the customer service and service delivery for Praxis Home Retail Limited, the pioneer in the home retail representing the brand Hometown. We're also joined by Sharat Dhall, the Chief Operating Officer, PolicyBazaar.com. Sharat is a global leading fintech player who looks after the marketing, PR, product, technology, sales, and service operations for the PolicyBazaar.com. He's also the advisory board member with Credit Enable, Global Credit Insights, and a technology solutions company. And this entire conversation and panel discussion is going to be moderated by Ajay, Nambiar, COO-PYP, and CSO in 3M. Ajay is recognized amongst the top 150 global customer experience thought leaders and influencers with 28 plus years of business operations and CX expertise across hospitality, technology, and real estate sectors. Well, Ajay is also going to be giving us the poll results as well. So Ajay, we're excited to know that what the final poll result was. I'd now leave the live baton to you with your eminent panel. Over to you, Ajay.
Thank you so much. It's a delight, in fact, to be on a panel of this nature, and on a forum. I think it's unique in its context and in the times that we are today. Wonderful to be the first one to kickstart this summit, the World CX Summit. And I've got, of course, an August gathering of panelists from diverse industries. Well, we call it phygital because we've got a combination of panelists who traverse both the physical and the digital space. And what better way to kickstart a conference with a topic which is close to all of us? How future ready are we in leading a CX digital transformation? A journey which is new to some, but I think we've all probably at some point touched the digital transformation in our collective work experiences. If you can just put up the poll outcome, I don't think there's much of a surprise. One of the interesting questions while we were discussing, how do we take this discussion forward, was it in fact came by Mr. Nagaraju, that what we should ask people that, and that's a context which is true for all of us. What leads a CX leader to want to get down the road of a digital transformation? Is it because of cost? Because cost is a consideration. To reduce cost, make your organization more efficient, the service organization more efficient, or is it that you find that basis feedback that you have gathered, big data or feedback that you gathered from your customers, your clients, your consumers, your partners, that there is a dying need to transform the CX experience? Or is it just, you need to be there in that space because competition is there? And I've heard this on multiple forums that, let's get AI because competition has got AI, we also should have AI. So at least it's a talking point. Or it's some other reason. And looking at the poll results, well, not too much of a surprise, to be honest. I think the expectation was the logical reasoning would have been VOC would lead to a transformation of CX, and we all do that. So I'm happy to see the results, in some form validate what what the logical mind says. I do feel though there's probably a equal balance between option A and B. That yes, while it is you look at digital transformation to enhance or improve the quality of service or the quality of your customer's experience, but there's always a financial outcome. It's ROI based, and hence there is a need to say, hey, we can't keep expanding. Let's look at taking away transactions, digitizing transactions so that focus can be on only the larger issues with customers. So there is a trade-off, but I'm happy to see the results. Uh, I think it sort of validates where we come from, and probably gives us a good foundation to start the panel. My fellow panelists have been introduced, and I'd like to start with the first opening question to all my panelists. Uh, and given today's context, in the last 12 months, and I'm not using the word COVID, pandemic, etc. I'm just using the context of CX transformation in the last 12 months. So the context is that don't read too much into, oh, what did 12 months change who we are? I'm just saying the last 12 months. If it was business as usual, what have you or your organization done in this space to enhance your own digital roadmap? Again, I'm not saying it necessarily is dictated by the pandemic, but yes, pandemic does have, and we can't ignore the fact that the pandemic would have, to a large extent, brought forward decisions that we may have put on a 36-month roadmap. So I agree with that, but the focus is not on pandemic, but on what, as an organization, we have done or planned over the last 12 months and executed in terms of a digital roadmap. How has the experience been in its deployment and adoption? And I'd love for some real life examples from your respective fields so that we can share that with the audience. I'd like to start with the lady on our panel first, Vaishali. If you can take us through your thoughts on your digital roadmap for your organization. It's in the digital space. And how has been its adoption and deployment? And examples, if you have any. Over to you, Vaishali.
She has to unmute.
Hi, Vaishali. You must be on mute.
Yeah.
You just unmute yourself. Great.
Yeah.
Hi,
yeah.
Vaishali. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, all. Yeah. Audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in order to be future ready with what our customers are expecting, our organization has transformed completely into a digital technology. What we have done as an organization is completely digitalize all the functions, right from the sales to marketing to customer service and the last mile. For us, we are into a very high touch product business, and for us, having a right balance between the human touch and the digital technology is a kind of a level that once we are balancing correctly, I would say we would be able to give the best customer experience. And I think we have understood this and consciously digitalize the functions. Our major strength here is how do you then get everything into one board, into one customer CRM. So we had different softwares, application that we have been able to integrate and get into one platform so that we can give a complete 360-degree view to all our customer service executives and our sales professionals. So with this initiative, I think we have been able to personalize our conversation with our customers and go into a very proactive model and give recommendation, give suggestion, ensure that we give a very friction-free service to our customers. Now, to give an example here, I would say we had different systems, and attending a customer or enabling a self-help around a year back was a difficult thing for us because we had broken systems here. So with this integrated with 360-degree view of a customer, we have been able to not only enable our customer service team, and it has also helped us to enable self-help for the customer who can himself then log on to the website, into my accounts, and then check the entire history and the recommendations and log a call. So all these other features which has really helped us to devise a better engagement strategy with the customer. So I think we have taken a very unique approach and balanced our human-centered design, and we have used the latest technologies.
Interesting, Vaishali.
Yeah.
In your mind, what would have been that one top initiative or transformation that you feel proud of because it was a challenge and yet accomplished, or it was something that gave you tremendous outcomes?
Yeah, sure. So I think operational challenge was a big thing. Like enabling technology into the operations was a big thing for us, because it's a huge workforce for us. When I talk about the people who are on the field, okay, the kind of people, the kind of caliber they have. So it is rather difficult for us to digitally transform them. So, we can give them technology, we can give them assets. Okay, this is what you have to use. But actually, when you see the ground reality, the adoption of the technology will be minimal at that level. And this was a very big challenge, I think, for us as an organization. So it was like, a big project, which was a very hand-holding thing, which we had to do. We had to do training, refreshers, monitor them, again, support them to ensure that there's 100% compliance. Only then I think, when we look at the top level, we talk about getting all the data together. So this was a very bigger piece for us to achieve. And I would say this is something which we were looking forward for, and as an organization we have successfully been able to implement this.
Thank you, Vaishali. Wonderful. I'd like now, we've got a good combination of phygital, like I said, and digital. So let me do a combination now. We've done phygital to an extent. Let me go purely digital. Well, it's actually still phygital. Mr. Nagaraju, like I told you, I think when we spoke yesterday, I think I had my first experience with Bigbasket itself. Heard a lot about it, and I recently moved my assignment. I moved to the north in Gurgaon, and I tried Bigbasket. Absolutely delighted, in a environment where you deliver great experience without any contact. I would use the word contact in terms of there's no physical engagement, but great that you just open your door and you're actually, it's like the mailman who says, hey, we'll deliver it at 2 o'clock, or a FedEx guarantee that early morning you open your door. I was pleasantly surprised. I completely forgot. Opened my door and there I found the Bigbasket delivery. So delighted. I'd love to hear your views on the same point from your experience, which is vast and varied.
Okay, thank you, Ajay, for your compliment, and also very happy to be on this panel today. Hello to all the participants in the CX Summit. See, one of the things is Bigbasket has being e-commerce company in the grocery space, had to start as a digital platform. So we have always been a digital company from day one, right? With a significant portion of the operations already on fair amount of digital processes. However, what happened in the last 12 months, I must, in spite of what you said, I still have to take the background of the pandemic, because this indeed affected all the three key stakeholders for us. For example, a lot of customers were severely affected because they couldn't go and buy anything. So tremendous amount of number of people got onto digital buying. And so our orders really shot up 70% during the April-May period. And to create more problem for us, about more than 50% of our blue-collar workers being migrant nature, they ran away because they were very, very confused about this whole COVID pandemic and all. So that was the kind of scenario. So where we had to really look at our digital transformation roadmap, and we had to prioritize certain urgent things to handle this whole situation. So what we did was, from a customer point of view, to reduce the anxiety, because the customers were not getting slots immediately because we didn't have capacity. So during April, May of last year, so we immediately introduced a token system, so that customers could get onto our app and then say, yeah, they want to buy some items. So they will be given a token, and which will be kept in sequence. And when the capacity is available for me to deliver, their order gets priority, and they can immediately fill the cart and then go ahead and confirm the order, right? This has kind of reduced their anxiety. The second thing is we also found that while we had a chat process in our customer support, typical chat process in a grocery kind of situation when you have so many items, etc., can take quite a lot of time because customer is trying to explain what is the problem with a fruit or a vegetable or something else and all that they have to write and you have to respond. And the agent also sometimes had to refer to some backend process to give him an answer, etc. A chat used to take upwards of 4, 5, 6 minutes to conclude. So in that scenario, what we said is this is the time now to introduce chatbot. We are chatbot, well, we had it in the roadmap. We said, let's bring it in right now so that at least the top customer call drivers, whether it's where is my order or, if, still not delivered, sorry, going to deliver today. Those kind of questions can be quickly answered by the chatbot, by, looking at the, backend information. And we successfully introduced chatbot with, NLP background and little bit of AI, ML, etc. So that we kind of bulldozed our tech team, and also we introduced it during the pandemic, and that was one big success story. Of course, it is not full-fledged chatbot, I must accept, because it handles only the top queries, but it nicely hands off any other questions of the customer to a physical agent. That is one. The second problem is I was talking about these people who ran away, right? So a lot of people ran away. So we had to actually recruit thousands of delivery boys. About, in a span of 2 to 2.5 months, we recruit about 10,000 of them, paying, more competitive salaries because they also had to work. They had to take risk during the pandemic, etc. But one thing we found was, how do we train such people? How do we train such large number of people? Because earlier we used to have training room, they used to come, trainers were available, etc. But now we had to do it. So we quickly jumped onto a digital training platform. Whereas using simple modules, we converted most of the training stuff into some simple animation related stuff. We put a very, very good external sources, vendors, and also in-house team to create animation-based training programs for these boys, delivery boys, pickers, and so on. And that was a very, very unique, quick experiment we did. And that was very successful because these guys are pretty savvy. They know how to play games, and they know how to use digital mobiles basically. But they're quickly lapped onto this, digital training during this last few months. The third stakeholder for us is the vendors and partners. Now, once again, as you can imagine, Bigbasket has large number of vendors. Apart from established vendors like, big brands like HLL, Patanjali and all that, there are also farmers delivering fruits and vegetables. There are also logistics service providers, transporters who have vehicles, etc. To many of them, this pandemic, and because the contact got reduced. Because we ourselves were not working from home, most of the staff members. So contact communication became less and less, and therefore certain amount of anxiety developed among the vendor ecosystem also. Whether, have we received all the products, how much has been accepted, when are you going to pay, etc. So we created some simple digital, based apps in which, for example, we created a Farmer Connect app, similarly a Vendor Connect app, in which we push some of these data related to their particular supplies, and that reduced their anxiety. So that is how I think I would say. And the one final example, which may be of interest I can give, is we also had BB instant vending machines. Actually, these are vending machines which worked on Bluetooth, and then you go and stand in front of it, and once you open the Bigbasket instant app and then select a product, the particular door will open and you can take out the products. This is a brilliant example for which can be used during pandemic, right? Because there's no contact, nothing you can buy. You get you can also pay immediately, etc. So what we did was we immediately realized the potential of this, and then started placing these 4 or 5 machines in large apartment blocks across major cities, and customers really loved it. We just go and stuff all the items before 6-7 o'clock in the morning, and then there are more than 150 items which are highly relevant daily use items, fruits, vegetables, eggs, bakery, you name it. And then people are able to, they go down and then use those, vending machines. That was also a product we had in our thing, which is completely digital, but whose time did not come. But this pandemic really created a wonderful opportunity to push through such machines also. I think I would stop at these examples.
Mr. Nagaraj, I think that's brilliant. Let me while I can summarize the initiatives taken on the customer side, your delivery, because it is a large workforce, and I can understand your pain, because in real estate, infra also deploys the largest workforce in terms of and migrant labor, and that's a story for another day. I mean that itself can be a debate on its own of how one would have planned or would need to plan, to make sure that the workforce remains safe and secure. But I just loved the efforts made, and I think while we sit on these panels and we talk theory and we talk about things in the air at 30,000 feet, that AI, ML, augmented reality, all these are big words, but where the value to the audience is practical, what actually is a pain for the customer, your vendor partner, to your workforce, to the organization. And I think these times actually have brought that out. Delighted to hear about the vending machine. I know it's very easy to speak about it, but it is the deployment of that is not the easiest, but a great, let's call it a pilot in that form, a great pilot where it can probably be expanded to actually becoming a business on its own, where you have vending machines and as you have vending machines at airports, etc. It can be in large residential complexes. So maybe it's given that opportunity to Bigbasket and those thinking that how do I reach closer to the consumer to take away a pain which affects them. Pandemic has given that reason, and I think that's the healthy part of this discussion, that it is all practical, something that we are doing, and it's an outcome based, on the feedback of customers, etc. And there's a solution to it. Wonderful, delightful. We'll bring back to you again, Mr. Nagaraj. I'd like to bring in Sharat. Sharat, with Policy Bazaar in the online space, your time, please go.
Hi, great to be on the panel. And, I think that the last 12 months have been very interesting. We've always been a very digital company. At the end of the day, we've, created the online distribution channel for insurance. And therefore, our endeavor has been to be able to provide the customer with a completely unassisted, booking journey. And I think that a lot of things that we did over 10 years, have probably crunched in the space of the last 12 months because of the fact that, I think there was a customer need, and there was a need to completely innovate even from where we were. And I think a lot of the partners, also the insurance companies, realized that it's time to look at things slightly differently. It's very interesting. If we just step back a bit, insurance is a product that you buy, and then the insurer decides whether you should get it or not. Yeah, because you need to provide the documents, you need to probably go for a medical test, and so on and so forth before you actually get issued an insurance policy. So what happened was, when COVID struck, essentially you had a situation where the offline channels totally collapsed. And like Mr. Nagaraju was saying, there was a huge surge of demand which came in on the online side of the business. And we were delighted to see all of that. But we also quickly realized that, all these bookings are finally not going to result in policies being issued unless we work very closely with our partners and really relook at the process of how insurance is actually issued, and whether a physical medical is actually required in these situations, because nobody was ready to go to a medical center, and at that time, and a lot of people are reluctant to do it even today. And so we spoke to our partners. We looked at video medical as an option. We looked at telemedical as an option. And we were able to actually integrate that into the customer journey. So as a customer, you could come in, you could buy your policy, and then answer a few questions, upload your documents, and also schedule a video medical or a telemedical. And if you wanted it right away, you could connect to a doctor. And so all of these things were things that, we had spoken about for many, many years. But because of this, it just accelerated, and all of it came through for a completely unassisted journey, even on the most complex products like term and health insurance, which are there. Motor and two-wheeler insurance are largely unassisted journeys, but some of these more complex products require a bit of hand-holding. There's documents there, medicals, rescheduling of medicals, so on and so forth. So all of that was, a big area. We also realized that maybe at this stage, if the insurance company is reluctant to issue a high-value policy to a customer, could we tweak our customer journey such that you could offer a lower sum assured with a telemedical, which then the customer was willing to take on, and he could always top it up later. So, those were the kind of product, changes that we made on the customer journey to ensure that we were able to personalize it for customers and ensure that they could buy their policies sitting at home. And actually, we even came out with a TV ad saying that, listen, now you can buy your insurance just sitting at home. And that was a huge step change for us as well as for the industry in that sense. The other aspect, which is fascinating, and I think, again, Mr. Nagaraju spoke about it briefly, about the whole aspect of, hiring and recruitment. For years, we've been talking about, so we've had a large sales, calling team, which assists in a lot of the post-booking and pre-booking processes, if the customer has clarifications, etc. And for years, we've been talking about why we couldn't have these people actually operating from wherever they sat. Why did they need to be in a building? And we had experiments which were going on with 10 people, 20 people here and there. And here, suddenly, we had to move 5,000 people into a home calling situation. And these are young people. The typical mindset was that, they need supervision. Without supervision, these guys just don't do anything. They slack off. You have to monitor them every minute, so on and so forth. And we were able to actually shift by moving our CRM to a light CRM to allow them to be able to operate their calling via a smartphone or via tablets. And in the process of 3-4 days, we had over 5,000 people moved from, our buildings to all over the country, because a lot of people wanted to go back home, and that actually worked absolutely seamlessly. And it was an amazing thing, because I think all of us were so pleasantly surprised at the level of commitment that also came in from people. Yeah. I don't know whether it was a situation where people realized that, times are tough. I better, deliver on my job and things like that, which helped. But it resulted in us moving this entire thing to a very, very, dispersed calling ecosystem. And it's fantastic, because it completely changes the dynamics of supervision, of cost, your ability to expand into newer markets, smaller towns, regional languages, all of these things. And again, crunched in the matter of 4 days, what we had spoken about for years. So I think it's amazing that even as a company which was highly digital and wanted to do everything digital, there were still things that we had not touched, thinking they were the holy grail, and then we had to do them in the matter of a few days. So that was very, very fascinating.
Great, so delightful. In fact, when you spoke about insurance and the medical exam being done virtually, it just reminds me, because just during the pandemic, I took another insurance policy, and unfortunately, it was not policy bazaar, unfortunately, but I must tell you the experience, because I had the same. Honestly, I was not as much worried. We were in a lockdown in Mumbai, but they insisted that I actually had to go to a clinic or a hospital, and I went there. And all I could think about was, you're standing on a treadmill, because a treadmill test is, you don't know how many people have actually gone on the treadmill. Then the guy puts, those meters all across on your body. And I was, paranoid is a small word,
Yeah.
right? But I agree with you, and I think it's fascinating that you all found a way out that
Yeah, because if
the
we
times
hadn't
have
done something
dictated.
like that, if we hadn't done something like that, all this
You would
customer
not have been
demand
able to issue.
all this customer
Correct.
demand would have been for nothing. It would
I
not have
agree.
resulted in any business at all.
Correct. Correct.
And
I will
those
circle
people
back.
would be unprotected. Actually, that's the other aspect of it.
Absolutely. I will circle back. I think these are important on the second question when we do come to that. I think each one of you will have a right a discussion point on the second question. Let me come to Dharmender. Dharmender, sorry, I think we probably saved the best for last. If we can have your opening thoughts too on the topic.
Thanks, Ajay, and thanks Nagaraju and Vaishali and Sharat for sharing such an insightful details about their experience journey and solutions and challenges that they faced. Many of the points have been covered. There may be some repetition. I'll keep it very crisp and short. As Ajay started, although COVID was unusual here, the business situation was not usual. You had a lot of people who were very scared to step out of their home to shop, and we were mostly actually, we were almost everything was brick and mortar. Until the time the customer doesn't come and shop, we don't have any transaction. April and May was zero because of lockdown. But moment after the unlock happened, we had everything very sorted and digitally enabled from the start of VM execution, because the stores, we used to have our VM teams going to the stores and executing it, taking the training and all that became digitalized. We have a very strong partnership with Microsoft, which enabled a solution for us to have that incorporated through a chat app, which is similar to WhatsApp, we developed especially for us. There is a lot of work that we did on people sitting at home and shopping from their homes and their work from home environment, or comfort, and there was restrictions outside. So there was a lot of shopping happening from their home, as high as 50% in many of our stores, especially malls. The high street, still people were convenient because they were in vicinity of their homes, but malls, people were still scared of stepping into a mall with a centralized air conditioning system and all. So we have a WhatsApp bot enabled. We have a first sports spray brand in India, which has video shopping based enabled app. People can sit at their home, chat and talk to a physical store manager, see the product, have a real touch and feel kind of an experience, and shop it at the comfort of their home. So all that execution happened during the COVID and last 1 year. All these elements of solution, they were in pipeline. They became a super high priority during the last 2 months of lockdown, and we executed it very well. The team was all focused on the one thing, and it was a fabulous teamwork, and the partners who was delivering those products to us, solutions to us, their support during that time that we executed all those solutions very well. So all that happened for brick and mortar retail. You can now go to any of the stores. I'm sure in most of the brands, you have a touchless experience in the entire transaction. You don't have to pay cash. You don't have to take the bill. All this thing comes on your phone only. The products that people touch and feel goes to a sanitization zone and quarantine, and then come back steamed and then come back to the shelf. All that execution happened during this last 1 year, and which will continue to for years to come, or improvise it further on the digital journey. That's my take, Ajay.
Great, Dharmender. Very, 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 very interesting. This whole thing, you raised a very valid point that let's assume vaccination happens, herd immunity happens, and we are safe. Would we still necessarily, in a retail environment, continue the same levels of, well, I'm not calling it hygiene, but like you said, sanitization, etc., is an interesting question. So is this a way of life, or is it a moment in time? I know we have less time. I, in fact, had 3 very interesting questions to our panel, but for want of time, and I don't want us to eat into the next session, I will take the third question, which is my sense of the 3. It is something that we can each take a jab at for say the next minute or two. And my question to you all, and I think from what you all have spoken in your opening, the relevance comes out from that. The question to you all, to my panel, is are you seeing any behavioral changes in your consumer? Yes, largely driven by pandemic, but not only necessitated by the pandemic. It could be a need, it could be a business outcome, it could be a business opportunity. But what are you seeing in your businesses, changes in the consumer behavior? Because that's the most important to lead to a CX eventuality of a design model that we may bring in place. Before we do that, can we just have the poll? Very interesting how the poll, I mean, this is like the general elections. You know, we were talking of the swing states on the first two poll results, and I just got the final results out. Can you just put up the Bhavna? Could you put up the poll results, please?
Sure, Ajay, I'm just doing that. Just allow me a moment.
Great. Very, very interesting. I don't know if it was influenced by the conversation that we've had, but we have a independent emerging winner, so to speak. Very, very interesting. So where we were looking at leveraging VOC to transform CX, which was an expected outcome, or business-driven ROI-led model of reducing costs. Very, very interesting to find that, you know, that and that is true. And I love the fact that we can discuss practicality as opposed to what we want to hear. Practicality is, yes, today's, and I must tell you, I'm not surprised. In all our conversations, and most of my fellow panelists have also been speaking at other conferences, that you find people's need to want to do a transformation is driven by competition. It's not a bad thing. I mean, at the end of the day, competition keeps us relevant, but happy to see the validation that competition has driven a lot of adoptions in the digital space. To come back to my question, thank you so much, Bhavna. To come back to my question, what is it you're seeing as, you know, a transformation in the consumer's mindset or behavior in your businesses, and how are you tackling, or have you tackled some part of it? Maybe we can start with you, Dharmender.
See, Ajay, there's a recent study also. Consumers are, especially the millennials and new age consumers, are frustrated of getting messages or emails, which is like a junk spam. But they prefer, 80% of them prefer to share their own personalized information to get a very personalized data offer or a promotion. And to achieve that, there is next gen CRM solution, which Lotto, in our business, Lotto Sports, is also using, to reaching out to customer beyond SMS, right? And getting transactions. So that has helping us improve our ROI on CRM to the extent of 30x or maybe more on that, which was very low initially when it was just sprinkler or splinter bombing, what we call just spreading the SMS, whatever the promotion, just say the segmentation, targeting, checking the recency, frequency, and monetary value of a customer engagement behavior, getting very, very personalized. The brand which is improving higher on their personalization are achieving more and more success in their customer engagement and CRM goals.
Thank you, Dharmender. Sharat, would you like to give in your viewpoints, please?
Yeah, I think what's happened for us is that I think life and term insurance and health insurance in particular, which are non-mandatory products, were typically very low on the priority list of people, let's say 12 months back. And, in the hierarchy of needs that one had, it was, there were a lot more needs around spending and consumption and all of these things. And
Sharat, sorry for interrupting. It'll be very interesting to know percentage, because I know I've read the percentages, but if that's not confidential, that what is the percentage of actually people who took insurance pre-COVID and during the pandemic?
See, honestly,
medical and health.
As a country, we are a very, very underpenetrated nation as far as insurance is concerned. It's hardly in this, low single digits, 4-5%, apart from motor and two-wheeler, which is a mandatory product. So it was interesting. I think, and there are a number of surveys which are there around what people are buying. But what we've seen is that from being like 8th or 10th in people's, hierarchy of what they were seeking to do, now insurance and is up there in the top 3. Clearly, there is a realization that it's extremely important to secure your family's future, both in terms of a term insurance product or a health insurance product. So I think that is something that is music to our ears. For years, we've been driving category adoption by saying that, listen, your family needs it. It's a small price to pay for it, and so that is a great change which has happened. The second is this adoption of online. I think, both we've seen a huge movement even in the tier 2 and tier 3 markets. So from, having 60% of our sales come in from the top 4 cities, it's today, it's the reverse scene, which is happening, or even more than that, which is taking place. And there is a comfort level with tools like, video calling and chatbots and, even automated calls and things like that, which are, there is a realization that it's, this is fine. This is just almost a new way of life in that sense. And it's okay for me if I don't, have to go across to the office and meet somebody, or an agent doesn't come to my house. It's much, much more comfortable if I do a call over the video or something, where I can, and as long as I'm able to identify that that agent is actually an employee of Policy Bazaar. So we have created those kind of tools as well. So if you get a call, you can verify instantly whether that person is actually from Policy Bazaar or not. And a lot of people use that tool to identify that I'm talking to a genuine person and so on. So I think that's the other piece which is happening again.
Great. Thanks, Sharat. Vaishali,
Yes.
your 2 minutes, if you can just give us your thoughts on changes in consumer behavior in your space.
Yeah. Being into a phygital space, I think earlier we had seen that customers mostly preferred calling our contact center or visiting our store, but we see a shift in the behavior in terms of customer preferring digital channels. So now we see that the situation is good. Customers still walking to the store, but we see that the digital research or the digital preference of connecting is right now also on a higher note, where we see that social media, if you talk about, or if you talk about coming on the web, doing a research, looking at the social media reputation, and then deciding whether to go ahead with a brand or not, is still one important area, I think, which is now into the customer's mind, that okay, I don't want to visit the store, I want to do everything digitally. So it would, I think, one of the projects what we executed was if showing the product to the customer virtually. So we have sold a modular kitchens, which is a very customized product. So the entire product we have been able to virtually show it to the customer in our store. Customer is at the house, and just one visit required to do the actual measurement, and the entire design, the 3D design, everything is done virtually, and then the final product is delivered. So it's a fine mix of, I think, digital and a phygital, which we have been able to achieve. And this is, I think, a pure example of how we have done it.
Thanks, Vaishali. To sum up, we'll take the comments of Mr. Nagaraj. Nagaraju, if you could give us your insights for the next 2 minutes on consumer changes in behavior. I think you'll have, of course, live examples. You've already started. When you started, you mentioned that. So happy to hear your point of view.
Yeah. Thanks, Ajay. I would take this on two aspects. One is during the pandemic, because of the fact that people had to get their essentials at home, and not many opportunities were there. Bigbasket was turned out to be one of the lifelines for many customers in all the cities where we serve. One of the things we noticed temporarily during that time were customers suddenly were a little more flexible. That's one change in behavior we noticed. In the sense, earlier we used to deliver in 2-hour slots, etc. So we had a series of slots throughout the day. But now many customers, learned customers, start giving feedback. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we are also working from home. You can actually deliver during this morning half or second half. That gave us a very good insight to work on some other models. Like, we started using slightly bigger vehicles to deliver, because the vehicle can take a lot many more orders, especially since our delivery system got affected due to lack of manpower. We use bigger vehicles and started delivering throughout the day, or throughout the half day in the morning, half day in the evening. So customers gave us that flexibility. That was like a temporary behavioral, I would say, but now it is all getting back to slots. The other thing we noted is the customers started ordering more and more health foods and organic foods, etc. We, as a company, we had to quickly do a lot of effort on the, our merchandising and also procurement of health foods and organic stuff and things. Third thing was people's expectations on knowing whether certain thing is really organic and how you are actually handling inside your warehouses, the hygiene part of it. And that issue also came up. A lot of customers started asking, tell us how you're handling fresh fruits and vegetables inside your warehouse, because we are getting it packed, but we are worried about the safety and other concerns. So what we did was we created some videos of our warehouses. We also improved the content on our, all those categories which talk about health or organic and all that, significantly improved the content based on the customer change in expectations. That's one example.
Thank you so much, Nagaraju. My dear panelists, thank you so much for your time, your insights, practical insights. I think which is of value not just to the audience that we have, but to panelists and me, of course, because we are living this live environment in each of our businesses as it stands. Bhavna, do we have time for a question or any questions, or should we conclude the panel discussion?
Ajay, it'll be best if we could conclude since.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, if there are questions, I'm sure if they do come up, please do share it with us, and we can respond back to any of the audience members who have asked the question. We would be happy to do so. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my fellow panelists, to Presscon Global, and of course the sponsors, for allowing us to be the opening batsman, so to speak, of the World CX Summit. Bhavna, over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all our eminent panelists, and being the first very panel at the World CX Summit, second edition of the Indian League. Thank you once again for joining us.